Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
Do you want to hear a story? I'm not letting go.
Are you ready for this?
Follow your heart. I'm going in. This is Blockbuster PunchUp.
This is Blockbuster PunchUp Episode 5. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host and film enthusiast, Todd G. Levin.
Hey, boy! We're getting goofy today.
We are getting really goofy.
Jay and I are both in costume.
We are in
currently.
costumes because, guys, this is Blockbuster PunchUp's Halloween episode.
This is our Halloween episode extravaganza.
Oh, yeah.
We're very excited.
We're like, yeah, we're going to do this in costume.
We're doing a radio show.
We're doing a radio program
for you.
dressed in the finest of the costumes.
Finest of clothes. We were like, it's an audio medium. Let's dress up for it.
So that they can really feel it.
The best part about this is we both showed up in costumes that both are basically jumpsuits.
Coveralls with patches.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what both of them are. Just coveralls with patches.
Just like one coverall and one patch, and it sells the whole deal.
Yeah. Todd is wearing a red jumpsuit with the patch on the front that says Gizmonics. And for anyone who knows what that is, you get all of the points. and you probably should.
Jay is wearing beige, a teal. What would you call that?
A beige teal.
A beige teal, a beal.
When I ordered this, Todd, I asked for an autumn beige teal. Very specific color.
It's got
a patch of like a.
What's his name?
I think it's like
he doesn't have a name.
He doesn't have a name, but I think it's like a specter, like a thing that is passed along. What's the term for it? I believe there's a Halloween term, a very general one.
I think it's called ghost.
Is it a ghost?
It is being busted.
It is being busted
by a big red circle. Slashed through.
But then I have an even bigger red circle around that slashing through that. I'm a Ghostbuster buster.
Yeah.
The very little known.
Oh, you're busting the Ghostbusters.
I bust the Ghostbusters.
What do they do wrong?
They
the EPA.
I work for the EPA. Is what I work for, and they're just out to get them.
You're that asshole guy in the movie.
But he just has that patch on.
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
This man has no dick. Guys, it's also the 30th anniversary of Ghostbusters right now.
Yes, congratulations to those guys.
Which is the Blockbuster... No, we're not doing that.
No, we're not doing... We're going to punch up one of the greatest movies of all time.
And ruin everyone's
Halloween is just the greatest holiday ever. It's my favorite, always been my favorite holiday. Mm-hmm. And as I know, it is also yours.
Oh, I love it.
So we're here, we're eating like...
We've got Pez and
like
so
toys.
If you hear Pez clicking and chewing, that's just us enjoying holiday cheer.
Yeah,
everybody.
This is wonderful. So
guys, since we've delayed long enough, also please we want to thank everybody who's been checking out the show.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. We love any of the comments and messages.
Thank you. We love you. Thank you.
And if you could help us out, please leave us any comments or ratings or reviews on iTunes. It really helps other people find the show.
Yeah,
and,
or like candy. Just leave us candy. Or I don't know, presents. Just leave us presents.
Yeah, just leave us presents.
Give us things.
That's really what I want to get out there.
Babies on the doorstep. Whatever you want. Doesn't matter.
We got a bunch of orphans here. We're training them in ninjutsu.
We got Splinter working on overtime back there.
We found a book that just says ninjutsu on it. So it was really easy to make happen. We taught ourselves
how to do karate.
It turns out it's really easy.
It's super easy. You just, like a few chapters.
Yeah, like real brief.
And it's not even for dummies. It's like for like...
It's just
super
hardcore
expert
ninjutsu.
mode.
Like if you want to kick a robot ninja off of a building... It's a passage in there. It's amazing.
And then you teach it to a bunch of mutated turtles who also grow into teenagers. Easy peasy, no problem.
No problem at all.
Easy peasy, no Japanesey.
No Japanesey.
None.
Especially not in the Ninja Turtles movie, apparently. Whoa, off track. All right, we are back on track. Guys, the reason we're here for our Halloween special, we wanted to do a big Halloween blockbuster.
Big old monster film.
And that monster film of this year is Godzilla.
Godzilla. 2014, the Gareth Edwards Godzilla.
Mm-hmm. And we
from Legendary Pictures.
And we are finally here to do it. And like we do at the beginning of every episode, we do our recap. So Todd, would you like to kick off our Godzilla recap?
I would love to kick it off. So, Godzilla 2014.
Yes.
We open with a lot of nuclear test imagery, creature fins, and something about the Project Monarch, opening credits, and we don't know. It's all redacted files. It's very mysterious, and we don't know what it is. We then go to Doctor Serizawa and assistant are shown a giant fossil in the ground, from which something seems to have escaped.
Has birthed forth
Yes.
to create mayhem and
Meanwhile-
carnage. Dun-dun-dun, cut over to Bryan Cranston.
In Genjiro, is that what it's called? Genjiro?
Genjiro?
Yeah,
Sure.
in Genjiro, a nuclear family...
It's my hometown. I
Do you
really
see
should
what I
learn the
did
name
there?
of Genjiro.
Meanwhile, in Genjiro, a nuclear family, you see what I did there, Jay?
Wow, that
Prepares
was
for
very
the
clever, Todd.
day-
Everyone, let's take a pause for how clever that was. Dun, 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 dun. I just imagine an image of you just posing.
With, like, star, like, I get a star for the day. Yeah, they prepare for the day. Dad has a big meeting at the plant.
He does have a big meeting.
The wife of nuclear reactor director dies in a meltdown caused by a strange seismic activity.
What could it have been, Todd?
Their neglected son loses his mother, and the rift between father and son grows
Creates, yeah.
larger.
From there, Aaron Johnson grows up being a military guy and disarming bombs. He stars in The Hurt Locker, maybe. But, you know, he's been on a long tour and he comes home to his family, but as soon as he comes home, he gets a call that he has to now go to Japan, it's quite a trip, to pick up his father who's been put in jail because he's doing shenanigans in Japan.
Shenanigans
because he's
again.
trying to figure out the secret. Son, I know it wasn't a seismic activity. It was definitely something else. I've been listening to, like, whale sounds or something like
It's
that.
important, and echolocation and things that you're going to need to know for later.
So right away, this film is letting us know this is going to be a story about father and son rebuilding their relationship together, right?
Yes.
Definitely going to be about that.
Because we've got two sets of father and son now.
Yeah.
Father and son that we've already met, who are now older, and the new father and son dynamic that definitely goes somewhere later.
Definitely go somewhere. So they go back to the city. They realize, oh my god, it wasn't a nuclear disaster.
Well,
It's
yeah,
actually
okay. Father and son trespass
monster.
on their
They do,
old,
they
the
trespass.
old like home.
Yes.
That was because the nuclear reactor was a contamination zone.
Yes.
They are caught and brought to the reactor because of course,
why not? It's like,
And-
look, we could take you to the police station, but it's going to be easier to just show you the secret stuff anyway.
we gotta just, gosh, we don't have anywhere to go. Let's just go to the secret lair, where shit is just going down.
I left something in the oven. I really got to get back there, guys.
It's the gas on. Doctor Serizawa, an assistant, making a cameo, oversee the containment of a pod-like thing that ruptures and births a giant spider crab apefish.
Yep. That's a perfect description.
And
actually.
Walter White dies.
And Walter White dies.
Whoops!
So that movie we were hoping to see of father and son reconnecting over the thing that killed their mother and wife, he dies.
Well, he dies. So it's up to
It's up to the son.
It's up
now.
to the son
To-
and his son.
And his son to beat the monster.
Yeah, to beat the monster, and we'll find out.
So, anyways, this
so
thing now named the Moot. It's a Muto.
The Muto, which stands for
I think
mobile
mobile
unidentified terrestrial object.
object. I think so.
Is that it?
Maybe.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't
It's
matter.
just the thing. So I actually, for the rest of my thing here, I just have words.
Please, let's hear them.
Monarch, another Muto, Godzilla's protector, a bomb, the kitties, the eggs, the bomb, Godzilla's blurt.
Did you fall asleep while writing these
Oh,
down?
Godzilla's blood. Muto attacks the bomb. Godzilla attacks, kills Muto, the bomb. Safety. Godzilla's dead. Family reunites. Godzilla's alive.
Andy's our hero. You missed the one part
Jumbotron.
there, which is... That's right.
Credits.
Credits. You missed the one scene where they
That's
transport a
basically it.
nuclear device via train.
Train.
The safest and most secure form of travel.
An analog nuclear device.
And that is Godzilla 2014, guys. So I think that ends our recap, and that's going to take us right into our punch-up.
Punch up. That's me doing Godzilla, and I punched you in the face.
The distraction was perfect.
Of course.
I didn't see that coming at all.
Yes.
You terrified me. You actually spit hot fire out of your face. I mean,
Well-
that's pretty much did most of this damage right
I
now.
wanted that soda, man.
Son of a
Godzilla is
bitch.
thirsty for some soda. Have you seen that commercial?
That's right.
That commercial's so wonderful.
It
It really is
amazing
funny.
that it got made.
Yeah, like Godzilla is just
Doesn't
like...
Godzilla also fight like Michael Jordan at some point in a commercial?
Really?
I think he does. He
I'm
plays
down with
basketball
that.
against somebody.
I'm super down with that. That's the thing. Godzilla is like this like internationally renowned superstar.
He is.
He's got his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Really?
Yeah, because
didn't know that.
he's a character. He is a like Hollywood like huge figure.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah, because Godzilla is fucking
He's the
awesome.
shit.
Yeah,
Which
he's
is
the
why we
shit.
love-
He's the best monster.
And guys, we have to say before we're in our punch up, but before we dive into it, I mean, we love Godzilla. We
Grew up on this stuff.
watched a bunch of movies,
Yeah.
rewatched a bunch of them recently.
Yeah, we really got into this one in the spirit of Halloween, in the spirit of just like, you know, I personally, I didn't go to sleep last night. We're eating candy over here, all right? We're eating candy.
It's gonna come in waves. Todd might pass out halfway through.
There might be a point where Jay just has to stop the podcast and, you know, just like wake me up
Resuscitate
and be like,
you.
Got it off, dude. But no, like
Just
I
scream the
did
Godzilla
not
scream
sleep
in your
last night.
face.
I stayed up and watched about 3 or 4 Godzilla films, whatever the ones that are on Netflix.
Yeah.
And this decision I could not regret less. This was like the best decision I ever made because revisiting these films was just so much fun.
And I think that takes us into just some of the things we liked about the film.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really loved Gareth Edwards does a really great job at teasing things.
Yes.
And really, like, you know, the whole thing of, like Jaws, don't show the shark, you know, and he does a really great job of some of that in this film. Especially early on, you know, the first shot is in Godzilla's face, you know, but like, "Meow," at the scream, which would have been a little jarring and maybe not the best storytelling, but, like, he does a really good job. There's a scene, I think, when, are they in Hawaii? They're on an island.
They're on
when
an
the
island.
Muto first attacks that island. There's the train
Yeah,
scene.
I think it's Hawaii, yeah.
Yeah, and Godzilla shows up for the first time, and he does an amazing job.
Oh, that scene's
of
incredible, yeah.
Teasing
The
like
foot?
yeah,
The monster foot?
But also
It's great.
But also he uses the elements, like reinforcing that these things are like mythical,
Yeah.
like, you know, they're beyond just big creatures. They're almost elemental. And Godzilla's almost example of him arriving is you see a huge tsunami pulling in, and we're starting to tease what's coming. What's, you know, we know the Muto's already on the island, so what's coming in, the water rushing in. There's even a shot of like one of the soldiers is looking at the Muto, and Gareth Edwards very distinctly, you see a little bit of water rush under the soldier's feet, and then a few moments later we see, you know, Godzilla and the Muto about to square off.
You see like a tail, you hear, you see a shadow of this or that. You get a sense of how big these things are, but you never see them, and he's very, 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 very good at doing monster stuff. So, couldn't be happier with like the way that he does monster things, with the exception of maybe a little bit more. Of
which
just like the
some
battle
of the teasing
kind of
went
stuff.
a little too far.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of like my flip on that is he does a great job of getting the showcase ready. Like the show is about to start, the lights are coming up, the curtain is parting, and then the first fight is for a few moments on a TV show.
TV.
For a little kid watching somewhere else. Like,
Which is a funny joke.
it's a funny joke.
But
then we never go back.
Yes.
And we're like, there was a fight that you didn't see.
yeah,
It's
a
like,
whole fight.
it's the first time Godzilla and another monster come to blows, and we don't get to see it. I mean, another thing I'd say is just, I mean, a lot of people have talked about it, but you can't avoid it. The human element of some of this film is a little bit weak.
Okay, here's how, here's where it gets into, and I won't go into it just yet, but this is where it kind of starts to skirt on the punch-up. Because I actually like a lot of the human stuff that they do here, but I know what you mean.
The film has its few moments and beats of like emotional weight, like, oh, we're gonna see this pay off. Like you said, like I'm not the biggest fan of Aaron Johnson in this film, but I think there were some moments, like you said early on, that I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. These weighted scenes with his family and everything, I really felt it. But then as the film went on, it started to try to serve more of this complicated story that they created, and less of the weight and kind of the themes of the film. They started to serve like, well, how do we keep Aaron Johnson still in this film? Let's take it on a train, and then, oh, that goes wrong, and then they have to go in there, and then he's got to drag it out, and then at some point he connects with Godzilla, because why not? And then we have him drag it out to the boat, and then like they had to tie, they wanted so hard to tie that whole line of him doing everything throughout the whole film, which is fine. I get that
he
concept.
needs to be the main character.
He's the main
right?
character. He's the lead.
the young, you know,
but I think they
like Hollywood
lost-
ingenue kind of
Yeah.
guy, right? They need him to be in there.
but they lost what you were saying, those emotional weights of like those scenes with the watch, the scenes with the family, and those kind of things to fill in what story and complicated plot they had laid out for the film.
There's like 3 ways where like it actually 3 elements where it went wrong, 3 like just parts to it. There's like, you know, the nuclear situation, what we're talking about, like what we're really talking about, right?
Yeah.
There's, what are we talking about? Giant monsters. What are we really talking about? Well,
nuclear weapons are bad.
Yeah, we're talking about the nuclear situation. We're talking about man versus nature. We're talking about all these things, like should we meddle, should we not? You know, are we playing God? All those kinds of things that science fiction is so good at. And monster movies and horror and all those things are like metaphors for. So there's that. There's what's going on there. Again, starts well, gets muddled. There's the human element of like the relationships, and that like has like interesting things, and then, you know, goes wrong. And then there's the plot of basically following Aaron Johnson and his bomb.
Yeah. And these monsters meeting in San Fran to punch each other.
And these monsters meeting, which is really just kind of like secondary, which is part of the problem.
Because the movie is called Godzilla.
Yes.
And he feels very much like shoot in randomly in the film. And we are constantly, like we said earlier, if you want to give it the term blue-balled, pulled away from him. We don't see him. We don't see him fight. We don't see the action that we're looking for in these Godzilla films.
So let's go through each of these things that we just laid out, right? The metaphor, the human element, the plot, and then the monsters, like where they come from, right?
So first, human element.
The human element, the relationships.
So I like Bryan Cranston in this film.
Yes.
I would have loved to continue to see Bryan Cranston in this film.
They kill off Bryan Cranston
so early.
Like they didn't already pull that trick. The mother dies. We already get the death in the family. We get this like, oh my god.
In a great scene, too.
In a really, really nice scene. And like Juliette Binoche does an amazing job. I love her. And she's awesome. And and it's for the, you know, is it because of man and because of, well, kind of, not really. It's an earthquake.
Yeah. Well, it's not an earth. Well, it's a monster. Whatever.
Yeah, but it's, you know, you can argue it's it's not like human hubris or whatever. It's that like
natural.
A monster likes to eat
things.
Radioactive waste, and so it burrows in the ground underneath this like nuclear facility, and then causes this deal. And like, there's a lot to ask for me, you know, to draw the line directly to Bryan Cranston's decision making. Yeah. Right. Because that's what it should be about. Should we shut it down? Should we not? And then he doesn't, and it's because of it. Like he kills his wife, basically. And then right? Even so, that's gravitas.
That's what we're following. Right, we're following a character of redemption. We're following a character to reconnect with his son. There's also maybe a character we're following him for his vengeance against this creature. There's a lot vengeance. Yes, you know, since he seems to be so wrapped up in this, we want to see these pay off for this character. We're locked in. We like the scene with him and his wife. Yes, and then he dies,
and then he just and not a glorious death, not a poetic death. He falls off of a railing that breaks, and then he's got like a broken neck.
And he doesn't die there.
And he doesn't die there.
He dies quietly on the helicopter.
On the helicopter, and I don't know. Does he say anything?
I think he has like a few last
even it doesn't.
It's
really
nothing
seem
like swing away.
There's nothing important about his death, and that is tragic unless you're trying to, you know, pull a Contagion and like talk about.
That's not what this.
That's not what this movie is. But like, unless you're trying to do that, where it's like, oh, like life is cheap and you know, like this person, you're not supposed to care about these characters.
But then again, I think we're giving the film a little bit too much of like, maybe he intended this.
No. That's because it definitely didn't. So he dies ungloriously. Yeah. And we're left with just like
Aaron Taylor Johnson,
which we didn't really care about.
Who so far in this film has only just been reacting to events.
Yes.
He's a blank slate character that you can follow easily.
Very little agency.
He's just reacting to things. We know that he works on bomb specialty. We know he doesn't get along with his father, which is really the most interesting part of the film. But now that the father's gone, that whole dynamic of him reconnecting with the father and rebuilding the family is gone.
And he has his own son, etc.
But then where he's not near them, he's not around them.
So how do we fix this? And this is where like the punch-ups go in a million different directions. Yeah. Because it depends on like what you want to do here.
Oh yeah.
The major punch-up that I have.
So we're going into the punch-up. So let's go in.
We're already there. Yeah. Like backing up, we have this Serizawa character and we have Bryan Cranston. They're both scientists. They both know about Godzilla. Make them the same person, please.
Make them the same character.
And how about How about, I mean, I love Bryan Cranston
Me too, but
how about just make Ken Watanabe be, and have him be like, you know, if you want to have, he has a interracial relationship, with like, you know, a woman from San Francisco.
God forbid we're following a Japanese family in Japan. At least one of them is Japanese.
Yeah, like it's like a white family in Japan. There's nothing wrong with that. But like make Serizawa descendant of Serizawa, Doctor Serizawa from the original Gojira, who is the only human, like the savior, was called the mad scientist, but secretly everyone knows. Who is close to the project as the one person who saved the day because of his oxygen destroyer thing or whatever.
That killed the original Godzilla.
That killed the original Godzilla, and like he saved the day, but you know, he had to go down with his invention because it was basically the next atomic bomb. Basically. Which gave us Godzilla. So we can't do this again. You know, right? Brilliant stuff going on in the original. Brilliant stuff. So the descendant of the original Dr. Serizawa is a person who learned from his, let's say, grandfather, right? And he has this wife, Juliette Binoche. He has this son who's like, you know, like half Japanese, half American kid, you know. He has this wife, because we like fast forward all these years. He has this wife who hopefully actually does something. One of my main like gripes with this movie, besides all the things that we've been talking about, is the women in this movie have no agency whatsoever. And it bothers the fuck out of me because you've got Juliette Binoche, you got Sally Hawkins, and you've got Elizabeth Olsen. All three women and actresses I like love so much, and they're amazing, by the way,
and very underused,
and completely not used at all. Not even underused.
They're just in the scenes to be like, I am a female.
I am your wife. Oh no. And then like, I am your assistant. Oh no. Like I am your, you know, your mother and your wife. Oh no, Fallout. Oh, I'm dead. Like there's nothing they don't
There's
do.
Nothing for them to do.
And I was thinking about it in the relationship of the other movies, just to bring up the other movies again. Actually, in the old movies, because I was thinking, of course, like probably these old films that are all damsels in distress, you know. No, there's a lot of like feminism going on in all these. There's like space queens and princesses and like the two like Mothra, the two little
the ones that summon Mothra.
Like they call them the Peanuts in the American
Do
version.
they call them Peanuts?
But they're like the fairies or whatever. And you know, Mothra, they like sing the song and everything, but they're like the priestesses of this woke world. There's a lot of like very strong female roles, and to have like this movie with like three amazing, you know,
actresses.
Roles for women played by amazing actresses, and to have them like do nothing
that
was
are just
such
there to
a
either
waste.
Be sad or deliver exposition is terrible.
Or die. What a waste. So anyway, maybe, you know, his wife, Aaron Taylor Johnson, who came from the descendant of Dr. Serizawa, you know, could be something.
So it's interesting you bring this up, because I have a PunchUp very similar to that almost. And actually, let me run through it. We'll go through it beats, and then you can just riff off of that.
Done.
How you feel? Okay. So this is my PunchUp for the film. So exactly like we just said, Ken Watanabe is the lead of this film. He's Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
So he is in Japan, and he has a family. And you can do this two ways. You can either do it's him and his wife, or him and his wife and a young son. So you can do it that way, just like the film, or you can do it with him and his wife.
For the sake of the movie that already exists, let's do the young son.
Okay, sure.
Because like we already have, like, it's already in the movie, and it's like I like the father-son element, because Absolutely. I love the later, like, he's neglecting his own son and he feels so like bad about it, but he's like, he can't help it because he is his father's son.
Perfect.
And it's later when he reconnects with his father that he only learns how he can connect with his son.
Exactly.
That's you know, his father goes away.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So our character Ken Watanabe now is not the wife works at the nuclear.
In the past, this is the backstory.
This is the backstory.
Right, great.
So we open on this film.
Yeah.
Ken Watanabe has his young son, and he has his wife. She is the one that works at the nuclear plant. He is a zoologist, which kind of goes off of what the original film, one of the main characters was a zoologist, studied plants, animal life. And the reason he did this, and why he got into it, and that we open this with a nice family scene with his father, who's still alive, and he's very old, could be the original
Dr. Serizawa.
It could be original Doctor Serizawa. Well, whoever... Yeah, of course. No, but this is a reworking of the original story.
He's alive.
He's alive. But it's the...
And he's lost his other eye.
Yeah, because he has an eye patch. When he was young,
Coolest character ever.
His father told him like stories about like what he considered bedtime stories of like monsters and things.
Love it.
So Ken
Love it.
Watanabe grew up really liking monsters and interested in creatures for this. He doesn't know, of course, the extension of these stories, but we'll get to that in a second.
This
So
is just like our PunchUp for Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim, yeah.
Yeah, growing up like
growing up
monster
liking,
stories.
loving the monsters, exactly. So Ken Watanabe grows up, he's a great zoologist, right? He starts hearing these noises and weird things, very similar to like Bryan Cranston, but Bryan Cranston was like, what's wrong with the problems in the nuclear plant? It's like he's hearing some of those weird...
For like 15 years, he's like, it's a pattern!
It's a pattern. I know things.
For 15 years.
That's Ken Watanabe's accent, right?
Yeah.
He speaks like an old, like from the 1940s. But anyway.
Which is how he would be dubbed here in the 60s.
So Ken Watanabe's a famous zoologist. Same thing happens, right? A monster comes up and destroys the nuclear plant, however you want to do it. The wife dies. This causes a rift between the father and son. When he has to leave his home, like, maybe this is the reason the son goes off and joins Monarch, actually.
The son
goes off and joins Monarch because maybe he is like obsessed with maybe like finding more about what happened or whatever it might be. But Ken Watanabe, this is where we start to connect the dots. When Ken Watanabe like moves in with his father, like after years of being like kind of like enamored with vengeance of what this might have been because he knows something was wrong. He's like at his father's and he's listening to like these noises because these noises are coming back. What he heard years ago. Ken Watanabe. Father? He's at his father's house. Ken Watanabe's at his father's house.
So his old
ass father.
Cool.
And he's like listening to these noises. He like set up shop there. Maybe his father bailed him out or whatever of like the prison thing. And when he's listening to these noises, the father hears them, and that's when he like almost goes white.
And you have that callback from Gojira.
Callback from Gojira. So this is one thing that I really liked about Gojira was that Godzilla came up because of nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
When the nuclear weapons were dropped, they like released Godzilla from wherever he was, and that's when he started attacking. So my twist on that for this is the first time in the beginning of the movie they talk about Godzilla was in the Pacific, we were doing these nuclear bombs to try to kill him.
Yeah.
Well, how it was covered up by Monarch and when Monarch was created was when they first dropped the bombs, Fat Boy and in Japan during the war.
Yeah.
Monsters came up, but it was not Godzilla. It was these Muto creatures first. And then Godzilla came and killed these Muto creatures. And the remainders of these Muto creatures were taken by this group formed by Monarch to monitor them. And they were kept somewhere in a facility. Godzilla left, but the father knows about Godzilla from way back then and recognized these noises, but recognized these noises as the terrible things that attacked after all those incidents happened. So he remembers these
recalling all of these things,
all
obviously.
These things.
Yeah.
Relates it to the son. The son,
recalling Hiroshima, recalling like the devastation afterwards.
Yeah. Ken Watanabe does the same thing, breaks into the place, finds Monarch, maybe reconnects with his son somehow through like reaching the facility. However that works out. Maybe the son works for the military. You can fit in the son wherever you want to work him in the military or in Monarch, whatever. So finds the same thing, the thing breaks out and escapes, right? So
Mutos.
The Mutos escape and everything like that. Basically, you go to Hawaii, now but Ken Watanabe is part of the group because he actually has knowledge on these animals because he's been studying them for years. He's had he's finally included in the plot because now he's with his son and they're on this thing to track down these monsters. One of my, the fights and stuff happen, and you can riff on a lot of different ways on how to change these things. One of my biggest things with this film that I didn't like was like a lot of the shoehorning of like a train and there's like a bomb and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted there to be more reflection of like nuclear bombs are really bad.
Yes.
Like we don't want to use them. So what I really would have liked to have seen is like, hey, we can use this nuclear bomb, but the idea is if these things, when we first used nukes, called out these monsters to begin with, and the bombs we have now are like 20 times worse than what they were back in the day, if this was the original candle that lit these things coming out of the ground, how many more of these things are there? If we let off another one of these, we might kill these things in the blast, but there might be, I don't know, tons more of these monsters down the road. We don't know what's under there.
And we should be careful because last time we did this, that's how we got here.
Exactly.
We brought upon these monsters.
With these nuclear weapons.
Ourselves.
Exactly.
We have awoken the beasts.
Now, if you want to still have Bryan Cranston in this movie, you can make him like the general. of Monarch. You can still have him in there, whatever.
Throw Bryan Cranston in always.
I mean, to have like an antagonist on the boat about like the general wants to use a nuclear weapon, Ken Watanabe urges against him of using them. He maybe still has his father's watch that he gave him when he was younger,
and he like so they have a relationship.
Yeah,
which is there. There is the general character, but like we don't care about him. He's basically just like a push button. Like I think this way. And,
we got to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
And nobody says anything about it.
Yeah, the pushy American general idiot guy. Yeah, that stereotype, that cardboard cutout of a character we've seen a million times.
Yeah.
This is interesting. I was, the variation that I had on this was Ken Watanabe creates Monarch as like an underground... he creates Monarch and basically like when like in the future when these two things collide is because the son, the Aaron Taylor Johnson character, has become one of the, if we're going to talk about the nuclear issue, has become one of the leading like political nuclear proponents who like has some type of like in the military, who has like the keys and like all the stuff, and you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Like he's one of the people.
He opens all the doors. He knows all the right people.
And we have like the stockpiles of, you know, because this movie, like we're a long way from, we shouldn't forget it because that's where Godzilla came from. That's where, you know, we should not forget Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but we're a ways from the atomic age. Yeah. We're a ways from the Cold War. Where we are now is nuclear proliferation. We have all these nuclear plants. Yeah. Japan is like second or third behind like United States and France in terms of just like nuclear plants and like, you know, but their safety is like unparalleled bad. Like their safety stuff is like just awful, and that's the huge concern over there, which was just shown brilliantly in the biggest disaster, one of the biggest disasters of our lifetime. The Fukushima disaster was like just awful. It was incredibly bad, and it just showed like how terrible the safety standards are over there and like what's going on. That is the conversation. Also power, climate change, etc., natural resources, you know, all these things. We are draining the earth. Nuclear power is an answer, but only if it's safe. That is a conversation that we, in today's, you know, 21st century, 2014 world can really get into. So we've got this character who has grown up into the military as this like proponent for, you know, like, let's have all these nuclear plants open. He's like Mr. Nuclear Power, right? Okay. Whereas his father is this person who is 100% against it because he understands that these things came from that, and he like gets this, and he has like gone away, created this thing called Monarch to monitor the activities of these like underwater creatures and like these things and these seismic whatever, and you know, these animals. And they haven't seen each other, and they come head to head when it's that's the head to head kind of thing.
You gotta shut these things down.
You gotta shut these things down. No, like we gotta, you know, and then that's like something that could be interesting, right? Because
the son could be taking the place of the mother. He leaves the father and becomes the mother of like, now I run it, but it's gonna be safe. We're not gonna have the same problems again. I'm gonna make up for what had happened.
It's gonna be more safe, and it makes sense that the father would go the other way because like nuclear power killed his fucking wife.
Yeah.
And also like, you know, he understands the power of these monsters. Maybe he saw one when he was a kid. Then we have a conflict
as to why they don't agree in the film.
Yeah. Then we have this great conflict. He's, you know, hasn't seen his absentee father. Because he's this political powerhouse, he neglects his own son. Who then, I don't know, maybe there's some subplot where like the kid gets lost or something. I don't give a shit. Like this, you know, something about like this kid.
The kid gets lost. A monster.
You know what I mean? Like basically he's in peril, and like, you know, and then like the Mutos, or like he's in peril with the Mutos, and like Godzilla shows up at the last minute and like punches one in the face, and like Godzilla moment, you know, like hello.
Well, right. Going off of that, so let me take some of that.
Reframe.
So let me reframe.
Yeah.
So let me take it from where we were and try to get to the end, and we can have kind of that reconnect. So if the son is involved in nuclear power, or if he's involved in the military, or whatever it might is, you have the father and son trying to reconnect. and they are
forced to reconnect.
Are forced to reconnect.
Yeah.
The father is the leading knowledge on these monsters, and the son is either the leading knowledge on the stuff that they feed on, whether it's nuclear, or he's a higher rank in the government or whatever agency he's forced to work with to make this happen.
He's the blind ambition of like, no, it'll work because
of this. I trust this. I trust the general, or I trust the head manager.
With blatant disregard for the power of fucking with nature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the idea is the same thing happens. The monsters go to San Fran. Now, the second monster we don't know about until the very end of the film.
Yes, thank you.
Because, first off, when the first fight happens in Hawaii, we see it. We see that fight happen. They have a good grapple. It's our first battle. But no real powers are shown. Now, Godzilla shows some powers in the film with his radioactive breath. But all the Godzilla monsters, all of them have their own kind of cool, unique power, right? They all have like
Are you saying
sonic
in the film.
No, in Godzilla films. In Godzilla films.
I know, but you're saying like in
the new
Hawaii.
film. Yeah, not in Hawaii. We don't show it.
There is the power shown by the Muto.
The Muto has like one thing I did think was interesting, which kind of like lends itself to like creating more problems for our characters, is that the Mutos emit this kind of EMP that like kills off like.
That's like their power, basically,
which is cool. But I don't like that as like its own defense mechanism, because look, if let's pretend this is an ecosystem, these things, the only thing that they have to worry about is predators like Godzilla.
Great point.
So to fight off and evolve against a predator like Godzilla, you would create your own defense mechanisms. Like in the old Godzilla movies, they would like shoot their own fire breath, or they'd have sonic screams,
or they beat their wings really,
beat their wings, or do something. That's like their own kind of fun, because Godzilla, we want to see him do the fun radioactive breath.
It's natural. It's a defense mechanism. Based off of natural selection,
and we want to see that in the monster
and
fights.
Adaptation. Not also what you're getting at is that like why would an EMP?
Yeah, why would they fight Godzilla? It doesn't affect him at all.
So it doesn't make any sense.
And I'm okay with them since they eat radiation. Maybe it's just a natural, a secondary emission that they have that is like a problem for us.
It would be like radiation. Or
it would just be
not
a radiation wave,
whatever
it is. However you want to explain it.
Microwave emitter, just like cooking
They're
everything.
Giant ape, like you explained, ape bug creatures. So
what did I call them?
What did you call them?
I call them spider crab ape fish.
Yeah, exactly. They could have these things. I don't care. I'll let it go. It doesn't matter. But the whole point is that we have the powers. We have now maybe the big Muto uses some like sonic attack against Godzilla. Godzilla uses his radiation breath, and we actually get like a really fun monster full battle showdown.
Yeah.
Instead of like very quick shots of it.
Right.
So the main beats were just like we said. Ken Watanabe is the lead. We have the father and son relationship.
You collapse the characters of the Bryan Cranston character and the
Ken
scientist, the Serizawa scientist. You collapse those into the same person because there need not be two different people.
Exactly.
And plus, like the way that they did Serizawa and his assistant, they're like completely useless. Like you said earlier, they're there for expository. So like, you collapse those two characters. You create the Doctor as the father to the son, who becomes the major conflict in our human relationship portion of the movie. Then that helps. Yeah. So that's our punch up for Godzilla 2014. So guys, that's going to be rolling us into our game, which is Blockbuster Smash-Up.
Smash, 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 smash,
Smash, smash, smash,
and that song is available on iTunes under... Alright, so this is Blockbuster Smash-Up. So this is our game where we take two films, one being a globally liked film, one being a globally not liked or kind of bad film. Since this is our Halloween episode, we've decided our film topics must be either a horror film, a thriller, or like a sci-fi thriller-esque film. So Todd this week is going to be doing the bad film, and I'll be doing the good film. So on the count of three,
oh boy,
we're going to share them. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. Predator.
Maximum Overdrive.
Oh boy, Maximum Overdrive. That's the film where everything just starts killing people, right?
Well,
that's the Stephen King film.
Yes. And the way Maximum Overdrive begins, and this is maybe where our smash-up begins, is Earth falls into the tail of a comet, and the electromagnetic radiation from the comet that Earth falls under the tail of begins to make things go a little haywire. How does Predator begin?
How Predator opens is Arnold Schwarzenegger's character
such a long time.
Gets a bunch. Oh, it's an amazing movie. Gets a bunch of his like kind of like an army team together. His like a SWAT special forces team to go in and take out these like I guess like terrorists or drug dealers or whoever they are in the jungle.
In the middle of the jungle.
Yeah, they sent a team in before to get them. They disappeared for mysterious reasons. So they're going in to like take these guys out. They go and they easily take them out. Right. And then they realize that something else happened to the team.
That there's like giant 18-wheelers inside this jungle that are like hiding in the trees, and Coke dispensers, soda dispensers.
So they go and like this is like I guess this was like a mall that was being built like
in the middle of the jungle.
The middle of the jungle. They're like, this is a beautiful place for real estate.
Or all of these things have just heard the jungle call now that they have like are like under the spell of this like comet, and they have just like left their earthly, like their civilized possessions, and happen to have convened on this island. It's kind of like Godzilla, like Monster Island, where all the monsters are living on this island, except it's like, instead of Monster Island, it's like Machine Island.
It's Machine Island. It's like
all the machines exist.
Is it like ones that we don't see anymore? So it's like RC Cola machines. That got shipped to this island.
Like light brights,
all these old classic electronics.
The penny saver little robot.
Yes,
the little where you put a penny in as like a little guy and then he eats it.
They've all gone haywire and they've turned on their human masters. So Dutch, I think it's Dutch, goes in with Dylan and the rest of his team to they're fighting against these robots, and Arnold
who have created a Kurtz like Apocalypse Now. Like there's the Optimus Prime. Is the Marlon leader. Brando is like Lieutenant or Admiral Kurtz or Captain Kurtz or whatever, and he's gone insane,
gone crazy.
Where does this Predator come in?
No. They are the Predator. So how?
They are the Predator.
They are the antagonists. They thought it was a terrorist cell. They get there, and the terrorist cell has been killed by these machines. So now Dutch is trapped on this island and has to fight these machines to get off.
It's like the most dangerous game, basically, where they're like it's like a battle,
and they're getting killed by a lot of these machines, but Dutch realizes one very important thing is that these machines read people through their body heat. So just like in Predator, he covers himself in mud.
In cold mud.
And screams, and must challenge Optimus Prime robot to the battle of the death
and
in
says
the jungle.
Things like, get to the chopper, before realizing that the chopper is also against them.
Oh no, don't go to the chopper! Don't go to the chopper anymore! Oh no, you got chopped in the chopper! I changed my mind completely! That would be awesome.
And then there's like moments. Dutch uses the jungle against the machines.
Okay.
Because they're not controlled, so he uses like big.
Well, like in Predator, he sharpens like things. Yeah.
And he uses. There's that one part where he like brings the two trunks together, and they like or maybe that's in Star Wars.
No. Like, he has like a thing that drops. He like drops rocks and stuff like that. So it's like the Home Alone in the jungle, but
so basically anything that's not electric, which is basically the whole jungle. One by one, he destroys all these machines.
Yes.
With his like awesome like Rocky 5. I'm gonna like train naturally by like doing like man things with like pieces of giant
lifting
wood,
logs,
and there's a training sequence with 80s music.
Of course, but the problem is he's playing actual 80s music on a boombox. Forgets that it's still a machine, and it turns against him. And he must
spitting like saw blade CDs at him.
He must fight it while the montage music is still playing from the speakers.
And his earphones, just like Casio headphones, start just like strangling him.
Arnold is really slow to picking up on the problems of the island. Oh, that's right,
my Casio.
My Casio, no! All the electronics, I forgot!
Oh no!
This is really just a smash-up, just so we can do the Arnold voice as much as possible.
That's really the only reason. And then in the end, he has an epic showdown with Optimus Prime Kurtz, crazy Mr. Kurtz. And how does that end? Oh, he covers himself in mud.
Yeah.
And then Kurtz Prime waits for him at the top of the temple.
Okay.
And he's recording into a device, and he's saying things like, "It's obscene. it's all obscene. Except he sounds like Optimus Prime, so he's like, it's obscene.
It's all obscene.
It's all obscene, you know? And, like, Arnold comes in and, like, says, like, a one-liner, it's time to power off.
It's time to shut you down. And then stabs Spear into face.
Yeah, stabs him. Very
So what's the name of this film?
The name of this film would
Maximum
be...
Predator?
Maximum Overdrive.
The ultimate predator are the ones that hide in plain sight. In the kitchen, in your bedrooms, you don't know. You're surrounded by them.
Speakers that you're listening to this on right now.
The podcast mics that you... The podcast just cuts. Alright guys, so that was our smash up for Maximum Overdrive Predator. Alright, so this concludes episode 5 of Blockbuster PunchUp and our review of Godzilla. And happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy motherfucking
Halloween. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. Please leave us a review on iTunes.
Send us things.
Or send us things.
The
orphans. The orphans. We really do need to start that Ninja Orphan army.
we need, in fact, send us money because we now need to clothe and shelter these orphans.
That's important. That's the next step. We really forgot about
the ninja orphans.
The ninja outfits. Those ninja outfits, those gis, I think is what they're called. They're very expensive.
Yeah.
And you got to start with the belts. You got to start with yellow, then go green.
We need more geese.
We need more geese.
We need more geese.
Are you saying geese?
I don't know.
We need more geese.
We need more geese.
Guys.
I don't know what geese sound like. They're very strange animals.
They are very strange.
Yeah.
Very aggressive.
Oh.
Like Arnold.
Like Arnold.
That wasn't a good segue at all.
Nope.
Guys, if you want to check out other episodes, go to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. Of course, you can always email us any questions and your punch-ups or smash-ups at blockbusterpunchup@gmail.com. Or, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at partialarc. And, of course, you can follow Todd on Twitter and Instagram at TG11.
Yes, you can do that.
Thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode of Blockbuster Punch-Up.
Have fun trick-or-treating.
Let's go home.